Hello, I'm Alex from Advanced Installer, and today we are exploring the power of conditional statements in MSI packaging. Whether you're a developer or a systems administrator, understanding conditional statements can significantly enhance the flexibility of your installation packages. Conditional statements are crucial for creating tailored installations. They enable you to set specific conditions, ensuring that files or applications will only install when certain criteria are met. For instance, a file might only install if a particular registry key is present. Now, Advanced Installer simplifies working with conditional statements. You can get conditions on files, registry keys, or other elements right from the user interface. Now, let's open up Advanced Installer and navigate to the organizations page. As I already explained in our previous MSI packaging book, this is the place where Advanced Installer stores all the features and components present on those features. So for example, if I want my app finder component which only contains the appfinder.exe, right? Because as a best practice, it's best to have separate components for each information, executables, registry keys, and so forth and so on, right? So if I want this app finder to be installed only under certain conditions, in the right hand side you can see the conditions field. Now, if you don't know how to build this or type it down manually, you can click these three dots, right? And a new window will appear. And you can see here you have an expression. Now, we have a wizard here, right? And we have multiple conditions type, right? Environment variable, let's say if a certain environment variable, right, like path, for example, is not empty, right? And we click next, finish. So this is the expression. Path must not be empty in order for this component to be installed. Of course, you can add multiple other properties and also you can validate. Actually, let me do that again just to show you. So I want my environment variable, my path variable to not be empty. Okay, good. And if I validate, the condition is valid. Let's say I want a certain property, right? Because you have multiple properties, and as already explained, custom actions can be seen here, right? We have under custom actions the process state or service state. So let's say if the service state we use operators here equals something, equals 0 or not found, then this property will then this component will be installed. Otherwise, it will not be installed. So Advanced Installer makes it much easier for you to actually create these conditions. Next, I want to talk a bit about launch conditions. So launch conditions are another form of conditional statements. They check for specific system requirements before the installation starts, right? Like certain software versions or system configurations. So these are before the steps I'm showing you here. What I'm showing you here will happen, right? The application will install, but only certain components won't be installed according to your conditions. But if you want to check something before the installation even starts, then we navigate a little bit lower to the launch conditions page. And as you can see, we have them separated on three tabs. The first tab is the system. Now you can have multiple checks here. For example, if you have a certain operating system that you want to check before the installation starts, or if the Windows installer, although this is not necessary in our day and age, but let's say you want a minimum version of the Windows installer present on your machines, or you want to check that the device has enough physical memory or screen resolution, color quality, and so forth and so on. Or you can actually prevent the installation on ARM devices and so forth and so on, right? You can even set your installer to detect if it's being installed on certain virtual machines and prevent it from installing, right? So this is pretty straightforward. When it comes to software, Advanced Installer offers you predefined conditions to find the most of the popular software which is out there at the moment: the .NET Core, the .NET Framework, Internet Explorer, Adobe Reader, DirectX, right? So let's say that I want my installation package to check if Adobe Reader, let's say 2018, is installed on the machine, and I also need the Java runtime environment and JDK, right? So you can easily just click here, select whatever precondition you want, and Advanced Installer takes care of it. So quite easy, right? And the last tab is custom, right? So this is where you put custom launch conditions, as previously mentioned, to check if other software that you might like or certain system configurations are present before the installation even starts. Again, Advanced Installer makes it much easier. If you click new, you have your conditions, but again, if you are not sure how to write it, again, we have this edit condition dialog, which I showed earlier on the components, and with it you can search for the same stuff. Pretty straightforward, right? Another example, but this is more or less in the advanced area, is to have custom actions which act as conditions. Now, VBScript offers another method for conditional registration, and of course PowerShell as well. These scripts or programs can check system parameters and influence the installation process accordingly. So, for example, let's say I have a script. Let's go on this one. There are multiple ways. You can place this script, which this script checks if the program files directory exists in this specific registry path. If it's empty, then the actual script will quit with the error code 100. Why with 100? Because it's easier to debug when you debug your MSI. So if you place this script right now in your MSI, if this program files directory is empty, then the script will quit, thus forcing the installation to stop on the MSI. And if you check the installation logs, you will see, and you can easily search for return code 100. How exactly do you place this script? Well, actually quite easy. If we go to the custom actions page, now remember, I have mentioned that immediate execution time means you can place this action as soon as possible, right? So we can place it as the first action before everything starts, before MSI does all its things and Windows Installer checks everything, right? And I only want to place it on the install level, right? Because only during the installation I want to check this, and that's pretty much it. What will happen is, if we build this MSI and try to install it, when you try to install it, this VBScript will actually detect that that particular property is empty. It will return an error, right? And it will fail the installation. As you can see here, the execution options, you have fail installation if a custom action returns an error. An error means any return code apart from 0. 0 is usually a good sign. Another type of script you can use is this kind. Now, this script does something a little bit more complex, so to say. In this particular variable, we are reading from this registry key, right, the disk ID. I can then write in a specific property in the MSI this actual disk ID. So let's say I go to properties, I create a new property called disk ID. I can put whatever value. I can put value 0, for example. It doesn't matter what value you put. What will happen? What will happen when this script is executed? This script will change the disk ID property that you have here in Advanced Installer to whatever value you have it set in the registry. Then it's much easier to go into the launch conditions, create a custom condition, and here we can take a property, which I previously done, right? And let's say if disk ID is not equal, right? Or actually, yeah, it's different than 0. If you have a disk ID which is different than 0, then this will launch, or actually the installation will continue. If the disk ID is null or contains 0, the installation will fail. And this is another method in which you can check system configuration and detect it in the MSIs in order for you to have a specific installation tailored to your needs. In summary, conditional statements in MSI packaging are essential for creating flexible, robust installation packages. Whether you use VBScript, PowerShell, or Advanced Installer's native feature, they ensure your installer only executes actions when specific conditions are met. Thank you for joining us in exploring the power of conditional statements. Stay tuned for more tutorials and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insight. Until next time, happy installing.